what a twat. Well, that was supposed to be a gag of me running in the room and jumping and stopping before the camera, but I went a bit too far there and headbutted the camera. I panicked because I was like, I've just fucked the motor in the camera, but there was a bit of Christmas magic in it and all was good. So, how are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's a Friday. It's time for the Friday night rant. Before I go any further, I just need to show off this week's Christmas jumper. Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. Told you, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. So, look, I've actually got a bump. I've given myself a bump from headbutting the camera. So before we go any further, a few of you have been saying it's nice to see the Friday night rant back. It's a shame you haven't got the sponsored by drinks. Well, I don't want to be drinking too much alcohol, but I'll get you a sponsored by drink. And what we got? Some cream soda. Oh. So, what we're talking about, Mr. Junkie? Well, I did have an idea to actually sit down and write a script like I do for every Friday night rant, couple of bullet points, just so when I come to make the video, it's fleshed out, it's the finished product. And I thought, no, why don't I just half-ass it and not worry that I'm not doing a full product and just release it half-baked? Kind of like Stadia. And I do think that Stadia is going to be in the Friday night rant every week coming up until it's rectified or goes under, depends which one comes first, hopefully goes under. And you're all saying that I need to bring in some kind of EA cheer spin back. So we're going to have a cheer spin. And what kind of music we're going to go with? Stadia. So what's the first thing we're going to talk about?
Once you're set up, you buy the game you want, then you play it instantly. You don't have to wait for it to download either.
That's right. No downloads. You haven't got to wait for patches. You haven't got to wait for DLC. You haven't got to wait for the game to come down. It's all instant. Apart from when it's not. So on Reddit, people are now uploading screenshots to say, I'm playing this game and yes, the game boots instantly, but then it needs a patch or it needs a piece of DLC and I have to download it, which is just fantastic. Straight out the box, the no downloads is not true. But I've given the dues. This is something they can rectify. They're going to have to work with the actual game suppliers to say, obviously, don't do this. We need to have it our end. But the point stands then, if developers are controlling what's happening and they have to go to Stadia and go, oh, here's the files beforehand, it just means that not everyone's going to comply to it. It's the same with consoles nowadays. There's always developers that most of them will auto pause if the batteries die, but some don't. And it's going to be the same with Stadia. Some people are just going to roll out a patch and forget to say, oh, Stadia, by the way, you need it your end. And then the game is going to want to download itself. But that's not the big thing that we're talking about this week. We've got two more. We've got two more little bangers. So the first one, which I think is just beautiful, is when they launched the console, they've got the Founders Edition. And one of the little perks to it is you're first through the gates, which means you get to have a brand new gamer tag, which is actually quite cool. The thing is now, when you get the PlayStation 50 and the Xbox 16, the problem is, yes, you're getting a new piece of hardware, but you're still in that same original ecosystem. So your name's going to be the same. Yes, you can change it, but every good name's taken. So you're kind of stuck with what you got unless you want to put a number on the end of your name. But Stadia is a brand new ecosystem, meaning new names. So if you're first in, you get to have a cool name like Tom. Simple. Something you cannot do nowadays in the current ecosystems of current gen. Well, it doesn't matter about the generation, but Xbox, Nintendo and all that lot, you can't get them good names. So Stadia is saying what we're going to do is we're going to do first come, first served. The first person to buy the console is going to get the code first. And you might be like, what do you mean the code? This is one of the problems with it. You can get the actual hardware delivered to your house, but you're not allowed in. You can't get inside the ecosystem until you've been given a code. Whereas Xbox or PlayStation, you turn it on, you sign up, and you're in. With Stadia, you need them to give you a code. So first of all, people are complaining that the hardware's turned up, there's no code. They can't use it yet, which is annoying, but we can say that's the teething problem. But what people are really pissed off is when it actually launched on the 19th of November, the people that was in there first, in theory, should be first come, first served. But what they're finding now is some of the people that was straight in there at the get-go haven't got their codes. But somebody who's bought it 2 days ago, they've got their codes, they've already taken them cool names. So people are now pissed off that they was the first there, they paid the big price and got rewarded with the back of the queue. And this is what's pissing me off as well, that Google are on Reddit. They're on there trying to squash these fires. And every time I hear something from one of the members of staff, it just is so corporate and so bullshit. And, oh yes, this is just a tiny, minute amount of people. Really? Because judging by all these Reddit posts, it seems a lot. And granted, when you're pissed off, you're more vocal. If you're more vocal, you get heard more. So sometimes the minority pissed off people do sound like a bit, so we can take that with a pinch of salt, but Google really are going in and talking like it's just one person. And the other thing I'm seeing is just people reporting the actual lagging. Like, people are saying when it works very, very nice, but it just don't always work. And I've seen people go, yeah, well, mine works, and like, yeah, that's fine, yours works, but does it work all the time? Because I've been watching a lot of videos, and I've seen even BBC News reports where they was actually taking the Stadia and was doing it on their big old pipe of a broadband, and it ran fine until it didn't. And the thing is, the difference between the two is if you're playing a game on a console and you get that lag, for instance, something explodes on the screen, there's some kind of weird physics going on, and the machine is just like, right, I need to do the physics calculations for every single frame that is going to be produced. And then what will happen is instead of 60 frames per second, you get 1. And then it goes, because each time it's doing that, it's doing a calculation. But the good thing is when that happens, you and that game are still on the same timeline. That's going really slow and you're consuming it really slow. So everything's in line. But when it lags on Stadia, there's a difference. That's lagging not because of the performance, because of the actual broadband issue. So you could have your character that's about to hit somebody. When it lags, they're not freezing, they're still hitting that character Stadia side. Your side, you're just not receiving that signal. So what will happen is your character may be in jeopardy or something will happen and you're just not pressing them buttons because you're not knowing you need to press them buttons thanks to the lag. But the big thing I want to bring up regarding Stadia is this massive amount of reports of people saying the actual Stadia Chromecast Ultra, I think it is just getting hot, like real fucking hot. Not like, oh, that's a bit warm, best come off playing mobile games for a little bit because that's warm. Hot to touch. So on Reddit, there's a bunch of people all saying mine is overheating, turning off, cannot play games, hot to touch. That is a hardware issue, and with most times when we've had the hardware issues with the Xbox and PlayStation, so I'm not going to point fingers at Google and say, ha, you're the only person that's had an issue. But again, when there's an issue, address it. And this is just one of the best corporation response I've ever seen.
Thanks for bringing this to our attention. We know any sort of heat on the device can be worrisome.
I'm your friend.
But we can confirm that there is no thermal overheating issues on the Chromecast Ultra. During normal usage, like watching cat videos on YouTube.
No, what, I don't understand where they went with that. It's like they're talking to an old person. You can get an old fogey and say, what did they watch on YouTube? That's internet thing. What happens on there? I think they watch cat videos. Yeah, they do. This is somebody that works for Google. Google owns YouTube. Google owns all these big corporations, and yet they think that we're still watching YouTube videos of cats. So yeah, just the fact that they had to drop in, I'm your friend and I'm also funny, don't hate me. But then it goes on and saying that the
surface of the device can get warm to touch, but this is working as designed.
Then the little sweet part is,
the team has done extensive testing on this hardware, services and games, and this includes testing long Stadia plays and video sessions, and have not seen thermal shutdown.
So I like this, the kind of spin that we've got on this. We've not seen the problem. It's not a problem. They've not addressed it, saying it's affecting some devices. There is no word on this small, minute amount of people. It's a case of it doesn't shut down our end, which is just fucking crazy to have that mindset. That's like me going to the doctors and going, doctor, look, I fell off my roof putting up my Christmas lights and my leg is pointing this way now. I think I've broke it. And the doctors just turn around and go, tap his own leg and go, well, my leg's not broken, therefore your leg's not broken. Yeah, Google, just because your device hasn't overheated doesn't mean you've got the same device. But some of them might be like, yeah, they're all Chromecast Ultras. No, I'm not talking about different models. I'm talking about not every piece of hardware is the same. Because if it was, there wouldn't be faults. When you buy a phone, most of the time it works. But sometimes you may get a product and you're like, the speaker don't work. Why? Because they all came from the manufacturing plant. It's the same model. That model has a working speaker, but this one doesn't. Yeah, because it was fucking faulty. That's the point. When they go flying off the lines, they don't test every single product. They do some basic testing, but they won't put it all the way through its paces. They're not going to sit there and go, let's plug that in for 4 hours and see if it can just do 4 hours of 4K. No, they're going to assume because most of them are fine, that one's fine, and that's fine. That's okay. I'm not going to moan. I'm not going to say you should test every product because it's not going to be doable. But the point is, to assume that your device hasn't got a fault means their device must not have a fault is just idiotic. So people are now reporting as well that after a few hours it shuts down, which to be fair is good. That's Google has built something in there to say, I've detected this is running pretty hot. I'm going to turn myself off to stop my components from burning out, which is good. But therefore, it's then turning off. So something needs to be looked into. And also some other people are reporting that they can get only 10-minute segments out of this before it just goes, I'm too hot. So all they needed to do is, what I've just said there is a train wreck. Yes, it's Stadia, it's a mess. But the point is, there's this download issue. Okay? That could be rectified. You've got this naming problem, which you haven't properly addressed. You've kind of gone, it's just a few people. Instead of going, we fucking dropped the ball. For anybody who's got a delayed code, here's a free game. And then this third thing, the fucking Chromecast Ultras are actually cooking the Sunday dinners for them. They should turn around and go, right, we've not been able to replicate this, but we would like to know more. If you have a burning device, send it to us and we'll replace it like for like instantly. We'll also sprinkle in a little game there to say sorry, and then we can have the defective product. That's how you get in front of problems. You say, okay, you've got a problem, let's see if we can recreate the problem. But not, they're just turning around and going, we've tested this, can't fucking see an issue. So yes, the Stadia mess continues. Right, so what's the next thing we're going to talk about then? I don't know, because I didn't write this down. I was doing a gag against Stadia, so I didn't write anything down. I've had a bang on my head as well, so I don't know what I'm doing. What was we going to talk about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 fingers on a hand. 1, 2. 2 hands. 5 minus 2 is 3. Half Life 3 confirmed. So yes, Valve has dropped Half Life Alyx, which a lot of people are happy with, a lot of people are pissed with. And I can see both sides of the argument, but to be fair, I'm more impressed than anything. So yes, we've not got Half-Life 3, but any Half-Life action is good action because we've waited fucking so goddamn long. And then they're like, boom, out of nowhere, here is some Half-Life goodness, but it is VR only. And I get it. I get the people that are not committing to VR, or they're going, I want to commit, but it's still the baby stages. I'll wait until this stuff gets better or cheaper or more efficient, whatever. There's plenty of reasons not to jump into VR. So to have an IP that maybe your baby and you're like, I love Half-Life, it's my jam. Oh, I'm not allowed to play it because you're just making it VR. I completely get that argument. And it pissed me off as well because I was like, I can't play this now, which is a shame because I watched the trailer, it looks ace, I want to play it. But I saw a few people talking and it's made me go, you know what, that's a damn fine point. So when the Half-Life first came out, I remember, because it was 1998, I remember being in my friend's dad's office and he was like, kids, come round here, with a big cigarette in his mouth. Went into his den and it just smelt of cigarette, ash, PC boxes left, right and centre. And as a kid I was like, this place is the best. Computers, games, he's smoking, he's an adult, oh, I love it. And he was just sat there going, watch this. And he was playing Half-Life 1 and I just stood there going, oh my God. And it was even just the very start where there was on the train going down to work and you're late, but it was the voice acting. It felt human. It felt like this guy had a purpose. He was going to work. He was late. People were seeing him and talking to him. And I was like, this don't feel like a game anymore where I'm just like, pew, 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 pew. It's like a real life simulator. And granted, you look at it now, you're like, that looks terrible. Look at the polygons. But at that time, it felt like it just broke barriers. Just with the voice acting alone, let alone what you could do in the game. But I never really got that pulled in by Half-Life 1 because this was the time where I was just getting into building a PC myself, and mine was a low spec and I wouldn't be able to run it, so I had to just watch my friend's dad play it and go, that's awesome. And then time I did actually get a good enough rig, the time had passed and I was playing other games. But when Half-Life 2 came around, that once again blew me away. Now this time it broke more barriers, but with physics. Now with games, yes, there's always been physics. You can throw a ball lands. There you go. You got gravity programmed into the game. But it just did more with it. It made things interact with each other. So as I was talking in previous videos, saying where I want the future of gaming to go, I want it to be interactable more. I want to be able to pick these objects up. This is what that game did, and it just was better than anything else. So you could get a plank of wood and put it on top of a bin, and it would be going like that. Then you could put a paint can there. Oh, it's going that way. A brick. Oh, it's going that way. And they used physics puzzles to kind of show off and say, look what you can do. Think outside the box to get around these problems. And then layer in how the glass would shatter and then start to crack and fall. And again, it broke barriers. And it set the standard, saying this is what you should be aiming for now. And I feel like Half Life Alyx has done the same. Now, I've played some VR games. I like VR. I'm still not pulled in completely, mainly because it's a bit of a faff to set it all up and everything. And if I had it on PC, I may play it more because I could just leave it in the corner. But the point is, every time I've played a VR game, they've been good, they've been immersive. Christ, it's VR, it's a very immersive environment to be in. But the weirdest part, the thing that sold me on this entire trailer was this moment.
I know you're coming. You need to get out of here, now.
Now, to me, that was it. I was like, scrambling. I don't get enough scrambling in games. If something's popping off, I've been in plenty of games where I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm just going to get these items and get a bit of this. The next minute, a door gets kicked through and there's a monster come running in. You're like, ah, and then you're running off. But even when you're running off and going, oh, where's a bit of ammo? Where's a bit of health? You're kind of just looking on the floor to see these ammo boxes or a glowing plant or something in the corner. But I think it's so immersive to just have lots of junk on some shelves and you've got to blast your arm through it, and you couldn't do that without VR, the actual controllers. In a game, you just can't control your hands good enough, so you wouldn't be able to just go, let's move them out of the way. And it would be annoying as well, because if you did open a cupboard, yes, most of the time you open a cupboard and there's one item in there, piece of health, and you're like, well, there you go, that's what I was after. And if they did litter lots of things in front of it, it would potentially be annoying because you wouldn't know what's behind it, and your hands don't quite work with analog sticks or even a mouse. But in VR, to actually be able to put your hands out and just go and move things out of the way is just so awesome, because I want to be able to burst into a room panicking because I need a bit of health, or I need 2 more rounds to just finish off a person, and I've got to scramble, and it's going to add to that realism. And to me, not only does it visually look great, the VR looks great, and just the level of detail they've got in the actual games, it feels like, again, they've gone, this is the standard. There's been plenty of games doing some good stuff in VR, but some people do a bit of good stuff, they do a bit of good stuff, and there's nobody that's pieced it all together. And granted, I've not played this game, but just going from what I've seen, it looks like, again, Half-Life is just there to go, that's the standard, bitches, aim for this from now on. So because of that, it makes me go, that's awesome. I'm upset I can't play it. I'm very upset I can't play it. But I'm glad you set another threshold so everybody else can say, right, when we make this VR game, we need it as good as that or better, because that's the benchmark. Right, so that's me done and dusted. I don't know how long I've been doing this video. It says 24 minutes to me, but I did headbutt the camera and that's reset it up. I might have even fainted for a little bit and just passed out on the floor for all I know. So this video might only be 2 minutes of me talking and 22 minutes of me just goggling on my own spit. But before I do, I'm going to leave you with a very, very special Christmas question of the week. And that is your Christmas tree up yet? So thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. As always, it is a Friday, so I am going to be on Twitch. If you click the link down below, you'll probably be watching me play some sweet, sweet Saboteur. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys. Take it easy. Cheers. Stadia's a bag of shit. I would not trust it. It will burn your house down and your kids will have no dad.